No more, no more
In 1963, a century after the Emancipation Proclamation, the United States was still a nation divided. Segregation kept blacks and whites in separate worlds which were anything but equal.
It would take the courage and sacrifice of the young and innocent to shock a nation that believed itself the bastion of democracy into truly making America a place with liberty and justice for all.
Mama said there'll be days like this, there'll be days like this. Mama said, Mama said, Mama said, Mama said there'll be days like this, there'll be days like this. My mama said.
Things of arrest, threats of jail terms, and violence all fail to put out what burns in the hearts and minds of the youngsters.
If we can get this is all we want.
And was discharged as a staff sergeant. He works as a laboratory technician and is studying for a degree as an electrical engineer. His wife, Daisy, is a college graduate. The Myers home is modestly furnished, and their late model family car was bought on time. They are very close to the Levittown norm, except in one respect. William Myers, Jr. and his family are Negroes in an all-white community. Levittown reacted in a number of ways to the new arrivals. There were several hundred who congregated on the street in front of the Myers house, and there were those among them who felt strongly enough to throw a rock.
Everything was going fine. I met a little boy named Billy Joe, and then I almost lost my mind. Mama said there'll be days like this, there'll be days like this. My mama said, Mama said there'll be days like this, there'll be days like this. My mama said, my eyes were wide open.
Where in the Constitution does it specifically say that the right to marry is even there, much less unique to a man and a woman?
Well, it doesn't say there's any right to marry. That was a Supreme Court interpretation. But some things are fundamental and even prior to the Constitution. And the Supreme Court has always interpreted that not to say if you have a close personal intimate relationship, you have a right to call that a marriage. But that the union of male and female is so fundamental to society that that constitutes a fundamental right. So there is
As in biblical, historical, you mean?
You want me to speak for the Supreme Court or for myself or on that?
Well, I'm talking to you.
It's really rooted in the idea that it's foundational to civilization and that it's necessary,
I'm
right?
actually joining a large group of pastors from various ethnic and denominational backgrounds who have come to Washington who are saying that, look, the president has gone one bridge too far. A lot of these African-American pastors saying, look, marriage is very clearly described in the Bible. The president has basically drawn a line in the sand and said, hey, are you going to cross it? And these pastors are going to cross it. I can tell you this, based on the polling data, and when you see 32 states that have voted to defend traditional marriage, none voting to redefine it, voters are not going to follow the president down the same-sex marriage aisle. In fact, I don't think they're going to hold their peace. I think they're going to start speaking out. The president is doing too much in trying to redefine our culture by redefining marriage.
We have gathered here to celebrate a love and commitment that have sacramentally united Drew and Carl in the sacred bond of marriage.
Now you point to those polls. I do want to show you another poll as well. This is when it comes to opposition of same-sex marriage. It's actually, if you see the numbers, I don't know if you have a monitor there on the Hill, it's a new low here. This is a Washington Post ABC News poll. So you say, the question is, should same-sex marriage be legal or illegal? And the majority there, 53%, say legal.
I can honestly say that the reality of what I'm looking at far surpasses anything I could have ever imagined. Beautiful life.
The work that you're doing is causing, for many of those people, considerable pain and misery in their lives. How do you reconcile that with your notion of yourself? You know, you've talked about your experiences as a single mother. You seem like a compassionate person. It seems to me like a disconnect.
Well, I guess when people fundamentally disagree about what's good for the country, I certainly have always tried to make my arguments in ways that are respectful of people who disagree. But if you come to me and say, well, the fact that you think marriage matters because children need a mom and a dad is deeply painful to me, all I can say is I'm sorry. That's
well,
not
I'm not talking about your thinking. I'm talking about your activism.
Well, I'm acting on it because I think it's really important, right? So when people say, well, that's causing me a lot of pain, all I can say is I'm really sorry. That's not my intention. But I think America is a country where we have to go out and fight for what we think is right and good.
Even during a time when the most at-risk population for suicide right now is gay teens.
He is someone who inspires me and challenges me and challenges me and challenges me in ways that I never thought were possible.
Just you and I.